Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, Entitled Host tried to keep me from eating at nice restaurant. Guy at a gas station. No, you can't park here. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Host tried to keep me from eating at nice restaurant. So, my wife, Zena, and I made reservations for a very nice restaurant that opened up in January. However, due to it being posh, new, and apparently had excellent food, me wifey and myself had to wait until last week in order to get a spot there. So, we got a babysitter and a nurse for my granny-in-law and got all dolled up to go. We took my wife's car, and since it was brand new, she didn't want anyone but herself to drive it. So, she dropped me off at the door and went to park the car. Now, it's important to note that we did call earlier and confirm the reservation. So the host was there. Now, I am well dressed up. A nice suit, nice haircut, clean shaven, and nice shoes, looking like a man of culture, and not as the tradesman I normally am. I guess at this point, I should mention that I am not fully white. I'm Irish American on my dad's side, but, more importantly, I am also half Cuban that comes from my mom's side. While I do mostly look like my father, I have darker skin, brown eyes, and black hair like my mother's side of the family. From the way the host looked at me, I just knew this was going to be a problem. He had the face of a man that was witnessing a dog taking a dump on the carpet, and scrunched his nose like he was smelling its crap. I was thinking I should wait for my wife, since the reservation was under both of our names. But he spoke first. Entitled Host, can I help you? His tone clearly stated that he didn't even want to look at me. Me, while trying to pretend not to notice, yes, there is a reservation under Phil and Zena, last names. The looked at the list. He was clearly not really reading it. No, I don't see your names here. Now, I experienced this sort of crap my entire life. So, I try to remain as polite and professional as possible. Me, check again. My wife called and confirmed the reservation. He checks again, shaking his head. No. There is no one here under that name. Mayhaps you and your wife are at the wrong restaurant? Yeah, I knew arguing with this guy was going to get me nowhere. So, I just wished him a good evening, turned around, and walked right outside. Zena was just about to enter the building as I was coming out. Zena, what's the matter? So, I explained about how racism was being a pain again, and she sighed. Zena sighed, what do you want to do? Me, well, we got the reservation and a night to ourselves. I want to try the food here, and I refuse to let that snot get in the way of that. So, you go in, confirm the reservation, and then I'll come in. I hate to say it, but it's a tactic we had to use in the past in order to get into restaurants. Edit, I should mention that my wife is white, hence why we did this. Most cases, it's just the host that gives us the problems. If it's the service as a whole, we would leave a poor review. Still, it's fun in a way. It's still fun to see me wifey go in, get us our table, and then me walking in to sit with her. The host looked like he swallowed something really sour as I sat down across from my wife. I half expected him to say something, but he just turned his head away. The service was lovely, the waiter we had was polite and quick, and the food was wonderful. But every so often, the would look over at us and just frown. I saw him turn away two more couples that weren't up to his standards. Well, our evening was still wonderful. Despite the nasty looks we got, we still enjoyed our food. Of course, my wife called the owners and let them know what the host did and tried to do to us. She let the owners know that she will not tolerate such intolerance from a man that was turning away business. She added that such a host would eventually cause the restaurant to get a terrible reputation, and they would get into a lot of trouble over it. Well, 1 week later, I was talking to some neighbors and found out that the EH was no longer working there. Rumor has it that he turned away over 200 customers, not sure if it was true or not, and got fired over this. They hired someone that was much nicer, though Zena and I wouldn't find out until November when we go back again. Still, it's not the first time, nor the last time, that this will happen to me. Yet, it's still nice to see racist people like that getting wrecked in the end. I hate when people act all high and mighty as if their shit didn't stink. It's strange he didn't recognize that your wife gave the same name you did, since the residential was obviously under a specific name. All that asshat saw was an inferior skin color and stopped using his brain. Racists are that stupid. My wife is white and I have a white last name. He saw both of that and didn't assume she was married to me. I was glad you put in a complaint. It hurts my heart to read so often that people don't do that. For me, it's a sign how exhausted they must be from the constant hassle, and I don't blame them. But it makes me sad. They've given up. Not just on the world, but on themselves, and that means the AH have beat them. I'm happy when I'm reading about people who fight. And I use all my hidden Karen power to lend support when I observe stuff like this happening. I make people like that EH hoping the next customer will be Mexican, Cuban, Black, or a Martian, anyone but me. I do so in the hopes they'll learn to appreciate nice customers and who really to despise by showing them a foaming, spitting image of true nastiness in white skin. But only those who deserve it. To all the others who at least try, I'm an angel as much as I can. Wow, that's horrible, just pretending you don't have a reservation and trying to turn you away. Good thing you told the owners. I'm imagining that EH turning away judges, city councilmen, personal friends of the mayor, or the mayor himself, CEOs, and important businessmen expecting a working lunch with someone important in the city. That restaurant dodged a bullet. I am angry on your behalf. Please know that most people are not like him. He is just a miserable, now unemployed human being who isn't content wallowing in misery alone, so has to share it with others. I am as white as anyone could be, but my boyfriend is not. He is Portuguese/Japanese. In Hawaii, he sometimes had problems. We live in Alaska, and fortunately most Alaskans don't care what color or race you are, and most would call this jerk out for his actions. I hope you have many happy dates with your wife. I once heard someone say, who cares what they wear/what nationality they are, so long as they are kind to the staff and pay their bill. Good words to live by. The kind to the staff part one feel is most important and often overlooked. I'm Irish American on my dad's side, but, more importantly, I am also half Cuban that comes from my mom's side. While I do mostly look like my father, I have darker skin, brown eyes, and black hair like my mother's side of the family. If I owned that restaurant, I would not only let you in, but place you at a window table to show the world how hot my clientele are. That host was a total POS. Glad he got fired. Guy at a gas station. So I'm at a small gas station filling up my car, and I go to the register to grab a drink. There's a guy who looks like he's in his 40s but apparently is a lot older. When the cashier asked to see his ID for the smokes he was buying, he decided to go on a rant about how he was 55 years old and shouldn't have to show it. The cashier said she needs to see everyone's ID, but he just keeps ranting. After a while, the guy just gives up and starts walking away. When he sees me, he says, "Can you believe this crap?" I replied that she wasn't willing to break the rules and risk her job. Yes, I can. He goes red in the face and grumbles, "Your whole generation has no idea what respect is." And in one of the few clever moments of my life, my instant reply was, "That's because we never saw your generation show any. We're just following your example." He looked like someone has slapped him, kinda dazed and confused. Then he just walked away and drove off. Not a long or overly interesting story, but it was one of the few times I had a clever retort ready on the spot, so I wanted to share. I'm clapping. The job thing is right. First of all, if the cashier asks everyone she can't be accused of bias. Second, it's obvious a rule. I work a few days a week at a very busy and large gas station/convenience store. I'm 52. I work there for something to do and keep me moving and kind of my exercise. We card everyone, no matter what age. It's the law here. Unfortunately, it's not just my generation that gets offended and wants to yell and rant at us. Even 20-somethings do this. I get carded everywhere here, and I look nowhere close to 21. It's the norm. I don't understand why people act this way and think it's such an inconvenience to be carded. Also, we get checked by the state with underage people trying to buy beer or cigs to see if we ID. If we don't, we get fired and can be fined $10,000 personally. I appreciate you taking up for the cashier. Working retail is a tough job. That's because we never saw your generation show any. We're just following your example. Haha, so true, I loved this. You made my day. Congrats OP. Old people tend to be entitled just because they absolutely believe that age gives you more rights than others. Rules aren't done to make us happy, but everyone follow them, and doesn't matter if you're 15 or 60, you must follow them. I'm an MI and I just assumed that they need to swipe my ID to purchase? Anyway, just have your ID ready for the cashier to make life easier for everyone. Good comeback OP. I can never think of things to say till later. Nice job. No, you can't park here. I live near a fairly popular park and event area. It's one of the few places in that city you can have dogs off leash, completely fenced in, and enjoy a picnic or play in the creek. This place is awesome. However, I will never understand the people that straight up blocked my driveway, parked in my driveway, let their dogs poop in my yard, or tried to use my trash can. Here's a story, edit only one story because I got long-winded, but I may post more later. Don't park here. During the county fair the road is fairly busy and I just accepted that fact, because it's actually nice to be able to walk over, get a Navajo taco and eat it peacefully in my home. One year, my husband and I are just chilling at home, then we notice a car, could be our neighbor's, shared driveway, so we call and ask. Nope, not theirs or a friend's. Usually when I see someone pull in I'll come out and say they can't park here and they leave, no big deal. They'll be grumbly because now they have to find a different place to park, like a couple blocks over where the designated parking field. My house just happens to be across from one entrance, so I get it, but hey, them's the breaks. Since we have no idea who this person is, the next logical step is we call the cops, because whoever parked is clearly trespassing and the cops can tow them. Right? Apparently wrong. We called the non-emergency number and told the dispatch person exactly what was happening. She said an officer would be sent out soon. Well, 2 hours go by. The fair is ending. We call back. Same dispatch person says they are currently changing shifts. What does that have to do with a 2-hour wait? Another hour goes by, a cop shows up. The cop then tells us that he can't do anything. Pretty sure I gave myself whiplash with how much my neck twitched. He said dispatch should have told us that, he could have as well since he had our number and knew what was happening, but whatever. He then runs the plates. Turns out the driver/owner has been parking illegally all over town and hasn't paid a single ticket, but it's not at the point of having an issued warrant. I call a towing company, they come, get the car and leave. My neighbors and I have fun watching them get towed, and I inform them that the cop said they won't do anything to someone parked here. My neighbor is equally confused because he's been told by cops to call them, so someone's lying by hey, cops can lie to you. The fair is well closed at this point, 4.5 hours later. 2 more hours go by and there's a knock at the door. Entitled Parker, EP, hey, what happened to my car? Me, it's been towed, gives name of company. EP, well, why? Me, because this is a private driveway. EP, well, there's no sign. Me, completely dumbfounded, this is clearly a house. You can't just park at random houses. EP, well, who do I call to get my car back? Me gives name of company again. EP, there should really be a sign or something. He leaves with his friends to sit at the end of my driveway. I was honestly tempted to call the cops on them loitering on private property, but knew the cops wouldn't do anything. Moral of the story? Just call a towing company because the cops won't do shit. Instead of telling him to call the towing company, you should have told him to call the police. That they'd been looking him, in fact. Something about a warrant. A sign that says trespassers will be towed should work. Then you tow immediately and not bother the cops, who you know won't do anything. I wasn't aware, at the time as I stated, that the cops wouldn't do anything. Living in a low crime area, it was extremely odd to me that they didn't show up when I grew up in a high crime area that got police responses in minutes for domestic violence incidents. Also, by state and city law, you cannot enter or remain on a property without the owner's permission. Best sign I ever saw at a house was "Do not park." Illegally parked cars will filled with chickens and towed. But seriously, you could put up a sign, but people don't read signs. They don't even acknowledge officially street signage half the time. I just call for tows immediately now. 'Cause people are dumb. Any person with common sense knows you can't park in a private driveway. Those people are just making excuses by saying you should have a sign. Obviously, they're not the best judge of appropriate parking since they have tickets all over town. Having them towed was the best action. Private property. Illegal parkers will be sacrificed to the old gods, not the new. The cop was being lazy and did not want to call a tow truck and or write a ticket. But I can understand why it took the cop so long to respond. Your call wasn't considered a priority, so they decided to respond when they could. As for the car's owner, he obviously knew he couldn't park there. But he doesn't care. And he won't until a warrant is out for his arrest for the number of parking tickets he has that he doesn't pay. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.